Am I the a-hole for divorcing my wife and not wanting to give her half after she said I wasted her time? Am I the asshole for refusing to take care of my children? So husband wants the kids more than she does. That makes a lot of sense since husband doesn't have to do all the things. For the most part, do the cooking, cleaning, 90% of childcare. He mostly just feeds the dog and occasionally walks him. 26, female, gave birth to my second child 2 days ago. It was a beautiful home birth, so I never was discharged from the hospital. With my first pregnancy, I made it clear to my husband I wanted to follow the 5-5-5 rule. We'll get into what that means. He seemed to drag his feet, but because he wanted kids more than I did, he agreed. So husband wants the kids more than she does. That makes a lot of sense since husband doesn't have to do all the things to produce said kids, but okay. First 5 days in bed. This is the 5-5-5. And she says, I still love my kids dearly and wouldn't not have them now. I just didn't want to go through pregnancy. So she's saying, I love having kids. I love that I have kids, but pregnancy, and if you watched my last video, when men are talking about what they would do if they were a woman, none of them said that they would have kids, which is very interesting because when they're telling women kind of what to do with our womanhood, it's like, have kids. Don't you want kids? But when they are given the choice to have kids, they never mention that. All of them wanted to be gold diggers. Okay. First 5 days, she spends it in bed. Okay, so she has the baby, does all the things, and she spends 5 days recovering. People stay in bed for 5 days with the common cold, the flu, pneumonia, things like that. She's having a whole human come out, and she's asking for 5 days in bed, which is very reasonable. But in this society and many others, women are kind of hoisted into back to labor and housework immediately after laboring. So there's that. But then nothing but skin to skin with her daughter. So she is still mothering. She has a daughter, the baby. She's breastfeeding, of course, and she's resting for 5 days. Then 5 days she is on the bed, which means she's like sitting up, so she's done her healing in certain aspects. Now she's sitting up, breastfeeding. So she's working this whole time. She's breastfeeding, she's cuddling the baby, and then she's also doing homework with her son, crossword puzzles, some light play time. And then next 5 are around the bed. Majority resting, but doing light chores, folding laundry, diaper changing, just not standing for more than 30 minutes. She's trying to help her body to rest, all while still cuddling with the baby, breastfeeding, doing homework, and coloring. Okay, so she has a colicky baby. And my husband is the one having to get out of bed, walk around with her, and sit in the rocking chair, do diapers, and take care of her and her son on walks to get some sunshine. Husband didn't have to carry the baby. Husband doesn't have to breastfeed the baby. Husband didn't have to labor to get the baby out. So now she's asking husband to do a part. Okay. Our son, who's 5, has started acting out at home due to the stress of the new baby and lack of sleep. We've offered him going to my parents next door, and he seems interested. We've prepared a month's worth of freezer meals. So for dinner, all he has to do, her husband, is throw the disposable tin in the oven and walk away for a few hours. So they have freezer meals. You put the tin in the oven for maybe like 3 or 4 hours, and then boop, it's done. I wonder who made all those meals. Just saying. We have more than enough disposable dishwasher. I don't know what she means by that. And then they have a dog. The dog needs to be fed and taken on walks with the kids. Okay. Today, her husband came to her crying, saying it was all too much and he couldn't do it by himself. And then she reminded him that he agreed to it, and she has to, of course, go back to work because she has to pay bills too. So she needs to be as rested and as healed as possible. Yeah. So she can perform better at her job and come home to do more work because, yeah. So can't make this stuff up. He begged me to help out. So he's like, can you cut off your rest and help me put the tin in the oven and clean the crumbs off the counter and walk the kids? He begged me to help out with our son, who will not sit still, and help with light cleaning, wiping countertops, gathering clutter into piles, etc. I said no. I'm entitled to rest, and I will help around the house in 8 days. So he didn't go, because this is 555, so it's 15. He didn't go that far past the first 5 days without wanting her to not rest anymore and help him out when she just pushed his baby out that he pushed for. Oy vey. You can't make this stuff up. Okay. So, edit, I'm not looking for advice on the 555 method. That's not what this post is about. Right on, sister. And here we go to the comment section, not the A. I assume all this stuff that he's crying about is the stuff you are going to be expected to do on an ongoing basis after your return to work. Yes, for the most part, this is the OP. For the most part, do the cooking, cleaning, 90% of childcare. He mostly just feeds the dog and occasionally walks him. Okay, so we know what the issue is that when it comes to her boundaries, she puts them in place for when she's putting her body through the stress of having a child, which is a big deal. But other than that, she's kind of given him a pass, and he's used to it because the baby's 5. The son is 5 years old. So for 5 years, he's kind of been having easy street, and now he actually has to help with this baby he pushed for her to have. And he is freaking out because ideally for him, it sounds like he'd just rather her do almost everything because all he does is the dog feeding and walking. And they both work. You can't make this stuff up. And so this person says, what bringeth this man to the table then? And then somebody says the OP said his personality and audacity. And somebody says a fuck ton of audacity, infinite audacity. Let's see. It sounds like he is a massive D. I didn't do 555. Doctors don't recommend staying in bed after birth because you heal better when you're up and gently moving around. That said, my husband did all the night diaper changes so I could get ready to nurse. He cooked and cleaned and took care of the kids while I recuperated. Now that I'm undergoing cancer treatment, he does all the cooking and cleaning, runs me to appointments, does the shopping and errands. That is a proper man, and he has an amazing personality. Once I feel better, I will split the chores with him again. I hope she recovers. Gosh, cancer sucks. Let's see. And this person says, is being a house slave a price you're really willing to pay to get the pleasure of his personality? Is it worth this much? Because that's kind of what this man wants, is not only a house slave, but he wants a breeding slave too. Because you don't even get to rest after having the baby, apparently. Take it from somebody whose ex-husband was like that with not 1, but not 2, but 4 children. Personality and audacity wear off, and before you know what, you've wasted the best years of your life with somebody who will not be a partner to you. It sounds like his personality sucks. Does he not believe that you just had a major medical trauma from which your body is trying to heal internal injuries? I don't understand. I don't know if men understand childbirth, and I think they kind of do, because again, my last video, those men were not trying to have a baby, even though they want as many women as possible to have them. So I think they get it, but when it comes to us, it's just kind of like, do it. I don't care. Anyway, this person says people have no problem making children until they have to actually, take care of them. His personality seems subpar, although the audacity definitely seems overdeveloped. You mean him being your 3rd child? Time he took some responsibility in his own house and doing some chores. Oh, wow. So anyway, this was an interesting one just because it gives us a case study of, when you have a lifestyle where you get with a man and have a child, but you're also expected to make money, pay the bills and take care of the kids and take care of the house, and they want very little chores, if anything at all. It's kind of like, it's not worth it. It's better to just kind of, I don't know, stay alone. But hey, if you don't want to be alone, then you really need to, if you're not going to deal with this, marry wealthy so you can hire help, because otherwise some of these men don't want to do anything at all. As you can see, they don't want to do nothing. Backing up of the last one that we talked about, we have another one where we have a distressed husband, and this is, am I the a-hole for divorcing my wife and not wanting to give her half after she said I wasted her time? I, 32 male, have been married to my wife for 28 female for 6 years. We met when she was 21. I was 25. We dated for about a year. So she married him at 22 and he married at 26. Different stages. Things were good for a long time, but in the past 2 years, I started realizing we'd grown into different people. We want different things, have different priorities, and to be completely honest, the love I felt for her has slowly faded. I didn't cheat, I didn't lie, I just fell out of love. I tried to communicate, we did therapy, I gave it time, but eventually I came to the conclusion that staying married would just be delaying the inevitable, and I wouldn't be fair to either of us. So I told her I wanted a divorce. She was understandably upset, but then things escalated. She said I wasted her time and that I used up her good years only to leave her. She now wants half of everything: the house, my retirement account, investments, even though she didn't contribute much financially. She's been in and out of work, and I've been the primary earner for most of the marriage. We signed a prenuptial agreement before we got married. It was fair. She had her own lawyer. There was no pressure, and it clearly laid out what would happen if we ever split. It protects the assets I brought into the marriage, and it doesn't entitle either of us to spousal support unless certain conditions are met, which aren't. If she barely contributed financially, how is spousal support not okay? And the truth is that it's like only 6% of people, despite what men say online, it's only 6% of men that actually pay spousal support or alimony. So there's that. Now she's saying the prenup shouldn't matter because I emotionally conned her into a dead-end marriage and wasted her youth. That even though it's legally binding, morally I should give her half because I took her best years and gave nothing back. She's feeling strong. I wonder what's behind these words. I don't see it that way. I loved her when we married. I was faithful. I supported her emotionally and financially. I tried everything to make it work. Falling out of love isn't a crime, and I don't think I should be punished for something I didn't do maliciously. Am I the a-hole for sticking to the prenup and not giving her half just because she says I wasted her time? Question mark, question mark, question mark. All right, folks. I have thoughts on this, but like I said, we're piggybacking off of the last one where we have the 555 couple. But let's see. So our comment section. Love the comment section. I hope she cleans him out and goes on to live her best life. What an utter S. Yeah, she doesn't mention the stillbirth she had. He doesn't mention stillbirth she had. Didn't act like a partner and is a general. Read his comment history for all that. Not mentioning the death of a child is all anyone needs to know about this guy. Yes. Okay. Let's talk about that. So it came out that actually him saying she didn't financially contribute much is fine, and this becomes like a debate, which we might have to have on this channel because it seems like a major hang up. It came out that she was, the household manager, cooking, cleaning, all the things, and also sacrificed her body for a child for them, and unfortunately the baby died. It's very sad. Condolences. And he didn't mention any of that in his post. And I always say that sometimes when men do these "am I the a-hole" or whatever posts, they don't mention certain things that make them look bad, I guess. So they just leave it completely out. But it comes out. Might as well just be honest. And this is why he's being roasted. Christ, what a fucking I'm missing the curse words. I'm sorry. This person says, sounds like my ex-husband. I apparently never contributed to the household. No chores, no bills, nothing. When really I was paying for the services out of my pocket and literally built all the shelving and decor on the walls, all for the studio loft downtown LA that isn't even completely in his name. He can keep his Roach residence. I'll start from scratch. It's like the contributions, your physical body, your labor, ignored entirely, which is very interesting to me. And there is the argument that men can say that, they did some labor that might be invisible, like, garbage management, tires being changed. I don't know. It's kind of not consistent. It's sporadic, but, maybe they feel like it equalizes things. I don't know, but literally, childbirthing is the ultimate sacrifice of your life. You can die. It's just so simple. But, whatever. I mean, we roll the dice, we take a chance, but I don't think men realize how much of a... Well, they do, because in my other video, I told you guys, none of the men that were asked what they would do if they were a woman wanted to have a baby. Everything was just being a gold digger and selling their bodies and stuff. So, he's an a-hole, and he's going to win, which is brutal. If you're going to be a stay-at-home parent, you need to cover your ass financially, including some sort of retirement contribution, salary asset distribution, and a prenup can be renegotiated when you move into different phases of your life. Being a stay-at-home partner is a trap. Most of the time, people end up in a situation like this. Oh, that one is, I'm just going to highlight it. Yikes. This person says, to each their own. I'll never knock stay-at-home parents or spouses, but this is why I will always have some kind of income for myself, even if it makes no difference to contribute to the household. So I put, so here's the thing for me. I ran this past somebody that I very much value their opinion. A man that I value their opinion. I think they're solid and fantastic and really morally sound. And he said two things that rattled me. Number one, he said that her labor can't be quantified, and if we try to quantify it, like meaning you're cooking, you're cleaning, all the effort that you do, to make sure everybody has the sustenance they have, making sure the home is clean and, hygienic and all that stuff. If it would, in order to quantify it, like, hiring a maid, hiring a housekeeper, like, we could put a dollar amount on what she did. He said, then we have to give her a star rating to figure out if she did it well. Like, oh, how good was the spaghetti that you cooked? That hurt my feelings, because I was like, what if we put a star rating on the sex? Like, is that what we're doing? And then the other thing was, it was giving the impression that he said unless she paid financially to the mortgage, to the this and to the that financially, then it's not quantifiable. And so that to me is like, you're telling women not to get into this, which that's fine, but you're saying unless you can show a bank statement of what you've contributed, it's not, you've done nothing. That's a sticky, icky, tricky situation, because breastfeeding babies, giving birth to them, all of that, we are pretending we can't quantify that, which we can, because they have people who are surrogates. Like, there's literally a dollar amount, even sex workers, right? Let's just be honest. There's literally a dollar amount to everything that a woman does and in the household. And we're going to have a conversation about this, and so you guys stay tuned, because it's going to be epic, because this is quite a conversation. But you can quantify what a personal cook, private chef, a housekeeper, a surrogate mother, you can quantify it. But then for him to go as far as to saying that needs to be a rating on it, that really rattled me, because I was like, you've got to be kidding me, because can we put a rating on your sperm quality? Like, what are we doing? What Um, really? It just kind of illuminated to me that I think men have a hard time with they have a hard time with grappling with the misogyny and patriarchy of, realizing that women's jobs are so valuable and they so need us. And I think it's so overwhelming to them to grapple with that reality till they have to almost dismiss it. Because that's all I could come up with that. Because this is a great guy. So I was stunned. So this person says he's a monster, cold and cruel. There's no way those comments and these comments are real. Um, oh, and this is the thing that I wanted to mention as well is that the red flag for me is that after, during 6 years of marriage, and even to the point of a child going through her body to be born, you didn't stop to put your wife on the deed. What if something happens to you? It seems like he always had one foot in and one foot out from the jump, and that is a huge red flag for me in this case. But this is a sad one. I can't wait to hear if there's an update. I doubt he will, because he already was facetious and didn't tell the truth in. Yeah, see, he even removed his post. He wasn't. Even in Reddit, he wasn't all the way in. He's in and out. Like he's just been lying to us from the from the jump. Like, bro, yeah, he didn't love this woman. He used her, and she's right. And what she said came from her soul, because she knew it, because she knew how she was being treated. And I don't know why that baby was stillborn, and I don't want to point fingers, but he was never in it to begin with, because how in the world do you have someone working and paying bills, working in the home, and you don't stop to put them on the deed because you guys are married partners? That house was always going to be his, and he was going to take it with him, and he kept it like that on purpose because he was always going to walk away. Sad story. Absolutely sad story.